So I got the latest edition of Sound on Sound, like I usually do on a regular basis. This is the May 2024 edition. £7 these days, so not too cheap. But this one's special because probably two of my favorite guys in production, and a big reason as to why I'm studying at DBS Music in Plymouth right now on the music production and sound engineering course. A big factor is because of these two guys, and they both feature in this issue's Sound on Sound magazine, which is pretty lucky and incredible. And that is the one and only Alan Moulder. He's got a big feature on himself here, and how I got that sound, John Leckie. So Alan Moulder and John Leckie in one magazine is right up my street. Two guys that really inspire me on the production side of things. So let's just take a little look. Really, just wanted to show you guys some of the highlights. So he doesn't actually work at Battery Studios anymore, apparently, which is really surprising because that was the studio in Willesden, London, that he set up with Flood. But apparently he isn't there anymore. He established himself at Trident Studios in 1983, the same time as Creation Records set up, interestingly. And obviously he ended up working for a lot of Creation Records roster. He was like Alan McGee's like go-to man for a lot of big records on Creation. Flood was there, Spike Stent was there, another big producer guy, Senzo Townsend. Alan Moulder has enjoyed a remarkable career as engineer, producer and studio owner, and a more fitting recipient of the 2024 Icon Award and the Music Producers Guild is hard to imagine. He and producer Flood recently stepped away from running Battery Studios in Willesden after more than 20 years. Now operating from a smaller space in northwest London, Alan is still as busy as ever these days, concentrating mainly on mixing. Alan's industry recognition is of course largely down to his body of work, with an incredible list of credits that includes My Bloody Valentine, obviously Loveless with Angeli Dutt, 9 Inch Nails, The Killers, Arctic Monkeys, Led Zeppelin, Ride, Swerve Driver, Curve, The Jesus and Mary Chain, Feeder, Foals. I can't believe they didn't mention any of them. However, the award also acknowledges another facet of his career, his role in mentoring newer stars such as Catherine Marks, Adam Cecil Bartlett, Caesar Edmonds, and Andy Saviors. So yeah, that's his mix room currently. Hybrid approach. He still uses a lot of analog outboard, which is printed back into Pro Tools. So yeah, interesting. He's got a hybrid approach, which I think is more commonplace actually these days. Here's some of the gear he's got. That Audio Kitchen company, I think he's got something to do with that. Him and Flood. I think they like design the specs, but they are like really good preamps. They do a lot of preamps, like the the tall trees. You got the small trees. But they're like DI, direct injection, and preamp pedals that you can get from Audio Kitchen. And I think Alan Moulder's got a big part in designing the specifications of them. So he's got a Proco rat down there. I think that's the torturies there. That one. That's like a I think that's the preamp. The 80s were also a time of rapid change, and when it came to MIDI and other newer technologies, there was no option but to dive in headfirst. You'd have to learn yourself. When the Atari ST came out, programming was obviously the way things were going. As soon as my wife got her deal, Tony Halliday, and was doing her solo record, I had to learn it. It was a great opportunity to take time off and learn it well, writing rather than under the pressure of being on the session, because you didn't have a lot of time, you were working all the time. That's how I got into samplers. My first time with Pro Tools, I think, was on the Downward Spiral with Trent Reznor, 9 Inch Nails. And that guy knows how to use a computer. Working with them, suddenly it was like, wow, the bar's gone massively up. And I came back and straight away bought a Mac. And it was the 4-channel Pro Tools of the time. One of the consequences of going freelance was that Moulder no longer felt part of an institutional structure where knowledge was shared. At Trident, your job was to train the assistants there, but then when I went freelance, you'd just be a jobbing engineer going around studios. So yeah, that's kind of what like John Leckie, like after he left EMI, Abbey Road EMI Studios, he basically went freelance just as a well, as a bit of a protest actually, because he wanted to work on XTC, one of their albums, and because it was like off location, it wasn't at a EMI owned premises, and the fact that XTC weren't they weren't signed to EMI meant that John Leckie basically like, well, he walked before he got pushed basically, but he was going to get sacked, which is just unfathomable really when you think about how the important records that John Leckie's made. So yeah, I'm not gonna like read everything from here because I don't think Sound on Sound. I don't think Sam Inglis will be too happy with me if I kind of read everything and then people don't spend their £7 buying it in the shop. So I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do this word for word. Just gonna show you little bits. All the assistants we had have totally different personalities, but there was a similar thread of attitude. Interestingly, he's like working with like younger guys. It says here like 2 generations at Battery Studios. So I like, yeah. I mean, this is quite relevant to my DBS question of like home studio versus like large professional studio, because I think it shows that like mix engineers and stuff like have to do a bit more than they would do back in the day. Like I think it's saying, well, not necessarily work harder, because Alan Moulder worked like 24-hour shifts and stuff like in the 80s when he was starting up at Trident. But I mean, like, they have to be more versatile these days. I think it's not just about being one thing. So now they're like mentors, and I mean, I guess it's good for Alan himself, like working with the younger generation, because he's kind of seeing it through their eyes, like the new technology. He's like being made aware of the new technology available, and I mean, I expect those guys will be like showing Alan how to work AI very soon, because that's the next thing on the horizon, really, isn't it? Is this AI thing? So it's going to be interesting to see how everybody adapts to this AI becoming massive. And also, so John Leckie was the other guy I wanted to show. He's got his own section. How I got that sound about Dukes of Stratosphere. Where is it? Page 88. Nice new Neve there. That it's alright if you got like 2,500. The problem with this magazine is that it's really weird because they like categorize like anything that's like £2,000 as being affordable. Like, you're absolutely joking, aren't you? Like, I'm just a blooming student. Like, how would you categorize £2,000 as being a bargain? Like, I find that really hilarious. It's like these car magazines. It's like, oh, this new Ferrari is like really cheap. Oh, well, how much is it then? Oh, it's only 150 grand. It just goes to show that some people like have more money than sense, really. So yeah, John Leckie, here he is. The guy that works with John Cornfield at the sawmills. He's worked at Rockfield, Rack Studios, and Abbey Road, obviously. Famed English producer and engineer John Leckie started his career out as a tape operator at Abbey Road, working on albums by George Harrison and John Lennon, before graduating to engineering, recording albums by Pink Floyd, Metal. He never actually recorded on Dark Side of the Moon, apart from the footsteps on the track On the Run. A lot of people get that wrong. Paul McCartney and Wings, he later added the title of producer to his name and went to work with artists such as Simple Minds, Stone Roses, and Radiohead, Verve, Ride, Carnival of Lights, Muse, Showbiz, Origin of Symmetry, did the mixing for that. Bebop Deluxe, he did Roy Harper. He did Cast, he did Cooler Shaker. Yeah, he did loads of stuff. Who was it? My Morning Jacket. He did them in the 2000s. XTC under the pseudonym The Dukes of Stratosphere. So yeah, this is really good. You get to learn a recording trick from John Leckie. So it's only a very short section. But yeah, just a really great issue, isn't it? Perfect for me. Two of my heroes in the same book. And I would really like it actually if John Leckie actually made a book and Alan Moulder. I think they could both. I mean, not. I mean, they could do like a autobiography kind of thing, but they could also just do a book just about music production in general and just write their techniques in there and stuff. I think that would be super, super cool and really helpful. Yeah, there you go, guys. What a great article.